We stood outside, a simple answer, like the door was made of glass. You could see the light inside, still you didn't ask. We talked around the truth politely, like it had all the time, calling fear being careful, calling silence being kind. Sometimes fear sounds reasonable, but it wants you to stay. You are the one we didn't choose, not because the love was wrong, but because it asked for courage. We didn't have that long.
You were the one we didn't choose,
and I still don't know why. We had a road in front of us, and we let it pass us by. You said maybe after summer, I said maybe after things calm down, like life ever sends a signal saying now is safe, start now. We kept our hearts in little boxes, marked later and someday, like the feeling wouldn't fade if we looked the other way. Some chances don't get louder when you don't reply. You were the one we didn't choose, and the night still feels the same. Every slow love song reminds me how close we came. You were the one we didn't choose, and that choice keeps choosing me, like a record stuck on one sad line that won't set the needles free. Some chances don't arrive loudly. They sit beside you and wait. I saw you once across the street, years later, different face. Two strangers with a history that never found its place. I went home and stared at the ceiling like it knew what I'd ignored. How many lives are built from doors we never walked toward? Time doesn't close the doorway, it just changes the light. You were the one we didn't choose, and I still feel that space where the future could have had bones if I'd had a braver face. You were the one we didn't choose. I'm not blaming fate, I'm blaming every quiet maybe that learned how to hesitate. Now I watch young lovers hurry like the world might disappear. And I want to tell them softly what it cost me not to steer. Regret doesn't shout in anger, it whispers when you're still. You were the one we didn't choose, and it haunts me like a hymn. Not tragic, just unfinished, like a light turned down too dim. Sometimes I think I still hear you. Sometimes I think that was the point. Some chances don't return. You were the one we didn't choose, and I won't dress it up as art. It was fear, it was timing. It was me guarding my heart. You were the one we didn't choose, but you changed my life anyway. Because now I know a feeling can survive what we don't say.
You are the one we didn't choose,
And that's the hardest kind of loss. Not the love that turns to ashes, but the love that never crossed.
I said maybe when I meant yes, said someday instead of now. I hid behind my explanations, like that would teach me how. You stood there calm and patient, like you had nowhere else to be. And I mistook your silence for time that belonged to me. I kept my voice steady and careful, like love was something that could break. Every word I didn't say to you was another step I wouldn't take.
sometimes fear sounds thoughtful when it wants you to wait.
I was almost brave enough to love you out loud, almost brave enough, but I backed it down. I was almost brave enough and almost felt the same, till you wake up one quiet morning and it's only your name.
You never asked me for a promise, never pulled me by the sleeve. You let me keep my distance, like you trusted I would choose. I kept telling myself I was thinking, I kept saying I needed time, but time doesn't stay neutral when the moments
smile like you already knew what my answer might be. And still you stayed beside me like you were giving it to me free.
Hesitation doesn't warn you, it just lets things pass.
I was almost brave enough, and I still feel that space where one step forward would have changed my days. I was almost brave enough, and that line still shows between the life I'm living now and the one I almost chose. Courage doesn't shout, it leans in. It doesn't demand, it waits to be met. I see you sometimes in strangers, in the way they hesitate, in the look before a goodbye that comes a second too late.
I learned how to make decisions that never scared my sleep, but every safe direction left something buried deep.
I wonder who I'd be beside you if I hadn't slowed the truth, if I hadn't treated love like something I could choose later.
You don't read the real moments, you only recognize them late.
I was almost brave enough, and that almost stayed like a quiet kind of failure that never fades. I was almost brave enough,
And I still carry that sound
of my own voice talking sense while love waited around. Now I hear myself in others when they say it's not the time.
and I know exactly what they mean and exactly what they're hiding.
Regret doesn't shout in anger,
It speaks when things are calm.
I was almost brave enough, and it follows me like a hymn. Not tragic, just unfinished, like a light turned slightly dim. Almost is quiet, almost
Feels reasonable,
almost.
still hurts, some chances don't return.
I was almost brave enough, and I won't dress it up as fate. It was fear, it was comfort, it was me choosing safe. I was almost brave enough.
You changed my life anyway, because now I know the sound of love when I turn away.
I was almost brave enough,
And that's the hardest truth.
not that I lost you,
But that I almost chose you.
We had the time, we had the space, we just didn't step inside. Every reason felt important till it sounded like a lie. We talked about independence like it was something rare, never noticing we were lonely in the same exact way. I told myself I was being careful, I told myself I was being kind, but careful felt a lot like hiding, and kind felt a lot like lying. Sometimes waiting feels responsible until it's just delay. If we had tried just a little more, if we had tried, what were we waiting for? If we had tried before the silence grew, maybe this wouldn't feel like memory. Maybe it would feel like you. You stayed close without pressure, like you trusted I would move. I stayed still inside my thinking, like thinking was the truth. We treated love like something fragile that might shatter if we touched. But nothing breaks quite like a feeling you never fully trust. I remember how you looked at me like you were asking for a sign, and I answered with another pause, calling patience good timing. Distance doesn't need miles, it just needs doubt. If we had tried, I still ask that line. If we had tried, would this be your life or mine? If we had tried before we learned to stall, maybe we wouldn't still be wondering if we had tried at all.
Trying isn't failing, it's choosing.
I don't blame you for the ending, I blame us for the pause, for the space where something real could have started but never was. I learned that hesitation has a voice that sounds like sense, and it talks you out of courage without raising any defense. I see us now in different people, in the way they almost stay, and I know exactly what they mean when they say maybe someday.
You don't redo real moments, you only name them late.
If we had tried, I still hear that sound of everything we didn't do, still hanging around. If we had tried, I don't know how it ends, but asking what if again.
Some doors close without noise. That doesn't make them kind.
Quiet endings still end.
If we had
tried, I still feel that space.
If we had tried,
I wouldn't need to know if this was the right kind of love or just too slow. If we had tried, I'd live with the truth instead of living with the question of what we didn't do. We ended things politely, like nothing big had changed. But silence after that never learned my name. We said we'd stay in touch, like that was something new. And I believed it for a while, like I believed in you. I packed away the memories, not carefully, not rough. Just somewhere I could reach them when forgetting felt like too much.
unlived lives are heavy.
We'll never know what we could have been. We'll never know how far it went. We'll never know. And that's the cost of loving something carefully until it's lost. Every now and then I wonder who I'd be besides your name. Not better, not happier, just different, not the same. I don't envy other endings, I envy clarity, knowing whether love would have failed or finally set us free. I still hear you in decisions that don't matter on their own. Like the question underneath them is something we postpone.
Different still matters.
We'll never know, and that's okay. That's what I tell myself most days. We'll never know, but it still shows in the life I chose.
in the one I didn't choose. Some answers don't exist because the question was never asked. I don't chase the past anymore, but it walks with me like a shadow that doesn't threaten, just quietly agrees. I've learned how to live with maybe without letting it win, but some nights it feels heavier than a definite end.
Memory isn't permission.
We'll never know, and I still feel that space.
That's the price of caution.
Sometimes fair, sometimes cruel. We'll never know.
Still, I wonder.
Sometimes we'll never know. But it mattered that we stood that close. We'll never know. But it changed me more than most.
I see it sometimes late at night, a version of my days where I chose you without thinking and didn't look away. It isn't louder or brighter, it doesn't shine or prove. It's just a life that keeps moving because I didn't hesitate. I see us doing ordinary things that never make a sound, and somehow that imagined quiet is the heaviest thing I've found. Almost has a gravity. That's the life we almost live. That's the road we almost chose. That's the life we almost lived. And I still feel it close.
We stood close enough to touch it, then stepped politely back, like we were scared of breaking what we didn't have. I told myself that distance was the safest thing to do, but safety never filled the space where wanting you once stood.
I learned how to move forward without moving ahead, and that's how you wake up one day, living what you never said.
Safety isn't peace.
That's the life we almost lived, and it follows me around. That's the life we almost lived, without making a sound.
Some lives exist
mourn it like a tragedy. It's quieter than that. It's the feeling of a sentence that never met its last.
I don't hate the life I'm living, I just notice what it lacks. Not everything you lose is taken, some things you don't step back.
Quiet still stays. That's the life we almost live.
It visits when I'm still
And listening.
That's the life we almost live.
Oh,
Extends me.
that's the life we almost live. And sometimes that's enough. That's the life we almost live. And I finally let it rest. You were right when I was leaving. I was packing up my trust. Every feeling felt inconvenient, every heart a little rushed. I told myself I wasn't ready, like ready was a switch. But I felt it when you smiled at me, I felt exactly which. I knew your timing wasn't wrong, it just collided with my fear. And instead of stepping forward, I pretended you weren't here. Timing doesn't hurt you, avoidance does. Right person, wrong moment, that's the truth I say out loud. Right person, wrong moment, said calmly, said proud. Right person, wrong moment, still doesn't feel kind. We called it bad timing, like that softened the regret. But I've never stopped believing you were someone I never met. I see you in another season, where I stayed instead of ran, where I didn't confuse my comfort with the making of a plan. You never asked me to be ready, you just asked me to be real. And that's the part that still hurts, because I knew exactly how I felt. Some truths wait patiently until they sting. Right person, wrong moment, still the right kind of pain. Right person, wrong moment, still calls my name. Some love shows up early to teach you who you aren't yet. I don't imagine us dramatic, I imagine us calm, sitting somewhere ordinary, knowing we got it wrong. I imagine we would have grown not perfectly but fair. And sometimes that imagined life feels heavier than despair. The hardest goodbyes never happen. Right person, wrong moment, that stays with me. That's harder than losing you, because it stays open. Right person, wrong moment. Right person, wrong moment, wrong version of me. Right person, wrong moment, still feels like destiny. Right person, wrong moment, and I finally see it wasn't the timing, it was